Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Charles, aka the Plant Mender, and today's video is one of my favorite videos to talk about, and it is tips for new plant parents. As someone who started their plant journey on a budget in an area where houseplants aren't really readily accessible, my only options really are big box stores, and there's one plant nursery in my town, and they're a little sketchy, so I try to avoid them. I want to tell new plant parents what to look for, what to avoid, and how to grow your collection. So let's jump right in. For my new plant parents there, most of us are going to your big box stores. You're going to your local big box stores. Your wallets aren't huge. You probably don't want to spend a bunch of money on something that you might kill that couldn't die. So here are some tips that can help you succeed. My first tip would be find a species of plants that you like. Don't go into your big box store, don't go into your plant parenthood thinking that you have to own every different type of species that there is, every color, every this, every that. You will get overwhelmed really fast, and you most likely will kill a lot of plants. Being a plant parent takes trial and error, and it takes research. So go to your big box store, look around, spend some time in there, touch the plants, research on them while you're there. I still go to my big box store, and even though 99% of the plants I kind of know how to take care of them, once in a while there'll be a random plant. I'm like, oh, what's this? What's that? I spend the time in the store and research it. Can I provide it with the right, climate? Can I provide it with the right care it needs? Do I even like it? Am I gonna like it mature? That's a big thing I tell a lot of plant parents to look out for. Kind of like puppies. When they're little, they're cute. When this plant matures, are you going to like it? Are you going to be able to care for it the same? Do you have the space for it? If you buy a Monstera in a 6-inch pot, in 2 years from now, are you going to have the space like you do for a Monstera that's going to be huge? So look at that things when you're going to start your plant journey. Do you have the space? Do you have the time? And can you care for these plants adequately? Even if they are big box plants that they say are low maintenance. Make sure you can take care of that. The second thing is ignore the labels on the plants. Whatever that little stick says in the plant, ignore it. Google is your friend. Every plant in a big box store says low light and drought tolerant. BFFR. Like, let's be real. Even my golden pothos needs water pretty often, especially when I live in Pennsylvania, my heat's on, they dry out really fast. My pothos leaves shrivel up probably after a couple days. When I go to a big box store, it says, oh, it's drought tolerant. You can only have to water it once a week. If I watered my pothos once a week, they'd be dead. So do your own research. Do not follow those guidelines. They're a great little starting point, but look up the plant you're buying. My next tip for new plant parents is fertilizer is not bad. This might be a little controversial for some plant parents, but someone like me, I fertilize all year round. I definitely cut back how I fertilize come winter time because I do live in rural PA. However, the climate that I keep in my place is kind of like summer all year round. Right now it's about 70 degrees, 68 to 70 degrees, with a humidity that's about 52 to 75 in my place at all times. So my plants don't really go dormant. The only plants that go dormant are my alocasias in my hutch behind me, which I have shown before. And I think those just have a natural dormancy that they just go dormant regardless of the temperature. All my other plants continuously give me growth all year round, so I'm continuously fertilizing. Do not be afraid of fertilizer. Do not believe the hype that you should only fertilize in spring or summer when there's new growth. Depending on how you keep your climate in your house, apartment, whatever, or how your plants are going, it's okay to fertilize all year round. I would just recommend maybe cutting back or maybe doing a test run on certain plants before you fertilize everything. My next tip would be invest in pest control. If you're a new plant parent, invest in pest control. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get pests at least once, at least if you're a new plant parent. You're gonna overwater. You're gonna underwater. You'll probably get mealybugs. You'll probably buy the alocasia from the big box store and you're probably gonna bring home spider mites. It happens. Don't panic, don't freak out. invest in pest control. It doesn't have to be an expensive, regimen of pest control. It can be your big box insecticide. It can be Dawn and water. It can be just continuously cleaning your leaves. But invest in pest control. I promise you it will save you money in the long run. Do not be afraid of pest control. My next tip is do not be afraid to cut your plants. New plant parents, I know as your plant starts growing, you don't want to cut it. You don't want to do anything to it. Propagation will just grow your collection, first of all. Second of all, a lot of plants do great when you chop them. A lot of plants, when you cut them up, they give you new growth that's way better looking than your old growth. You also get to grow your collection. So if you're someone like me, I love syngoniums, I love pothos, and I love philodendrons. Those are kind of my niche plants. I am constantly cutting. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that my heartleaf back there that's living on my hutch, I cannot wait until it's summer and I don't have to turn my heat on so she can go back in the window and thrive. I'm constantly cutting her. My philodendrons, I'm constantly cutting and propagating. My pothos, constantly cutting and propagating. I want to grow my collection. So do not be afraid to cut. Cut those plants, chop them up, be safe, sterilize your cutters at all times, but cut your plants. Put that notch in, your rubber tree, your burgundy, your chineki. Put that notch in there. Play around, which leads to my next tip. Don't be afraid to experiment. Like I said, houseplants is trial and error. I have the same species of plant that, I have pothos, for example, that live in one part of my house that are thriving, in another part of my house where they're just dying. And I take care of them the same way. That's trial and error. Learn your environment. I recommend buying maybe clearance plants or affordable plants that if they do die, it's not the end of the world. Or, like I said previously, cut and propagate a mother plant that you have so you can test, how plants grow in different parts of your house. That was my biggest thing as a new plant parent. I cut plants that were thriving in one area and was like, how will they grow in another area before I maybe bring in a rarer plant to that area? What's the humidity like? Do the leaves crisp over on my pothos in this part of the house? Because if my pothos crisps over, guess what? Your philodendron's gonna do it. Your anthuriums, your alocasias, they're most likely gonna crisp over, especially plants that need higher humidity. So try those things out. Do not be afraid to experiment. Do not be afraid to, try out different things. Do not be afraid to pick a certain type of plant as a new plant parent. Stick to what you know. And those are some of my simple tips for your plant parents. Let me know down below some of your favorite tips for, new plant parents. Try to keep it budget friendly. I like to keep all my plant tips budget friendly there. And thanks for tuning in.